Hello everyone. As you all know, diabetes is very common these days, and India is considered as the diabetic capital of the world. Almost there are like 77 million diabetic cases in India, and research says that it can increase up to 135 million by 2045. Today, we have a very well renowned doctor from Manipal University, that is Dr. Harun Hussain, who has a consultant internal medicine working at KMC Hospital, Mangaluru, Karnataka. He has almost 12 years vast experience in the field of diabetes, and we welcome Dr. Harun. So, sir, please tell us what exactly is diabetes.
Actually, the numbers what you quoted are actually quite alarming. So it is of utmost important that people know about diabetes. I think after all these pandemic disease and infectious diseases that we are seeing today, I think one of the diseases that has got a major public health impact is diabetes. In simplified terms, diabetes mellitus is nothing but a condition where a person's blood sugar levels they are above the normal level for a long duration of time. In medical terms, it is called as chronic hyperglycemia. So when the blood sugar levels remain above the normal level for a significant amount of time, it is called as diabetes.
So, why do people get diabetes? Like, why is it very common in India?
See, the causes or the etiology of diabetes is actually very varied. If you look at the types of diabetes, generally, if you look up any literature, the common types of diabetes that are known to people is type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes, and the other things are the gestational diabetes and other forms of diabetes, like the genetic forms of diabetes, which are called as MODY. Usually, type 1 diabetes is because the body doesn't produce insulin or it produces very little insulin. We all know that the organ in the body which produces insulin is the pancreas. So, inside the pancreas, there is something called as beta cells. So, when these cells do not produce sufficient insulin, or they are producing less insulin, or they do not produce insulin at all, is one of the reason for diabetes. In type 2 diabetes, another phenomenon occurs. Here, what happens is that the insulin production may come down, or the body is producing insulin, but somehow the cells that are required, that cells don't respond to the level of insulin. So normally, what happens in our human body is when we consume any kind of food in our digestive system, it gets broken down into in simplified terms, it gets broken down into sugar. So the intestine absorbs it, and then there are some metabolic processes, and then from there the sugar enters our blood. For our cells to act, for us to get energy, for any metabolic process to occur in our body, this sugar has to enter the cells. So from the blood, the sugar has to enter the cells. So the process of sending the sugar from the blood into the cells is done by the insulin. So once the body is deficient in insulin, or the insulin is not acting properly because the cells are not responding to it, the level of sugar in the blood goes up. So this level of sugar going up for a long time is called as diabetes.
Okay. So, but what there is something called pre-diabetes also. So, what is pre-diabetes?
Yes. See, with the advent of newer diagnostic techniques, with the advent of a lot of awareness about diabetes, in a way, we are all lucky that certain predictors of somebody becoming a diabetic can be caught early in this stage. Pre-diabetes is nothing but a stage where a person's blood sugars are higher than the normal level, but yet they do not classify to be called as diabetes. So they are not, the sugar is not normal, but the blood sugar levels are in such a range that can say that in future this person may develop diabetes. And it is like a very important time if a person is able to be diagnosed as pre-diabetes early, we can postpone the development of diabetes, and at the same time, the complication associated with the diabetes also can be postponed. So essentially, sugars are high, but not high enough to be called as diabetes.
Okay. So people should take care, like, and try to diagnose at the earliest stage to prevent complications.
Yes, especially people who are like, see, in fact, most people can be at risk, but there is a particular group of people who have got a strong family history of diabetes, like their parents or their uncles, their grandparents. In this lineage, if there has been a presence of diabetes, if a person's brothers and sisters are having diabetes, if a person's body weight is more than certain level, we usually, if you go to the most of the fitness centers or clinics, there is a way to calculate a person's body mass index. So if a person's body mass index is above a certain level, or if a patient or a person notices certain symptoms, like he's always fatigued, he's always tired, and the classical symptoms of diabetes, which are nowadays being taught in schools also, the classical three P's: polyuria, polydipsia, and polyphagia. That is, somebody is urinating more than often that is required. Somebody is having excessive hunger and excessive thirst. And even we measure the waist circumference. If somebody's waistline is more than required, or when they do a blood test and find that their blood lipid levels are more than a certain level, these are the people who should go and check themselves for the presence of diabetes or pre-diabetes. So early detection of pre-diabetes is definitely going to help, and they can prevent themselves from landing in a lot of complications.
Yes, sir. With all these symptoms, when they're present, it's better they get it diagnosed, right?
Yes,
So,
yes, yes,
like, see, how do we diagnose diabetes? See, patient comes with all these symptoms, like,
yes.
so what test can be done?
See, the simplest test would be to go for a fasting blood sugar and a postprandial blood sugar. Uh, uh, if the fasting blood sugar between 110 to 125, then the person classifies to be in pre-diabetes. If the fasting blood sugar is more than 126, then it is diagnostic of diabetes. Nowadays, we also do a test called as the HbA1c, that is the glycosylated hemoglobin, that tells us the average sugar that has been present for the past 3 months. So, I mean, different literature classifies it in different way, but the simplest way to remember is that if a HbA1c level is less than 5.7, then it is considered as normal. HbA1c levels between 5.7 and 6.4 put the person in the category of pre-diabetes, and any HbA1c level that is more than 6.4 is almost considered diagnostic of diabetes. However, when I say this, I don't want people to do self-diagnosis on themselves. All these tests and all these reports have to be interpreted in communication with a qualified and a certified healthcare provider. They have to meet their doctor, or they have to meet their community healthcare worker, and then interpret these tests. But however, it should not prevent anybody in being aware of one's symptoms and going for testing and getting himself evaluated. And whenever there is a doubt, the age-old method of testing for diabetes is we give something called as a glucose challenge test. We make the patient drink a glucose solution and then check it. There are very many methods, but what I want people to remember is that if they have any symptoms, if there is any doubt, please approach your healthcare provider to get yourself checked for diabetes. These numbers can be confusing, these tests can be confusing, and without knowing, if they go for tests, it may unnecessarily lead to unwanted financial burden on the tests, or they may end up doing unwanted tests. So I feel they should first approach their healthcare provider with these symptoms.
Yeah, it's better if they always visit a certified
Yeah,
doctor
yeah,
before
yeah.
taking their own steps.
Yes, yes, yes,
Sir, what I want to ask is, see, there are some people who start on treatment, but still they develop
yes.
complications like kidney disease or heart disease. Why would that happen? Why?
Okay. See, the problem with most of these patients is when a patient is exposed to uncontrolled diabetes for a longer duration of time, that is when they develop these complications. A lot of metabolic changes occur in the body. There is production of something called as advanced glycation end products, reactive oxygen species, and so many other things. The processes involved are varied and many, but however, one must remember that when the sugar is high for a longer duration of time and there are a lot of spikes in the sugar level, that's when they are prone to complications. So what happens in our population is that, especially in type 2 diabetics, by the time they get diagnosed, already probably a couple of years would have passed, so that whatever damage is already done is probably very difficult to reverse. So that's where the role lies for early testing and early evaluation of oneself. One should not wait for complications to occur and then go to the doctor to check if he has got diabetes.
Yeah,
I think, as we already discussed, anybody with a strong family history, anybody with these kind of symptoms, anybody with a body habitus which is suggestive of that, should go for a preemptive testing and not wait for the complications to occur. For people who already are diagnosed to have diabetes, it is very important to follow up with their healthcare provider repeatedly. Keep a chart of their of their reports and meet their doctor repeatedly. Sometimes we have seen patients that they are started on a particular medication and they continue to take those medications for months together and they see the doctor once a year or so. That is not a good idea. They will have to meet their doctor more frequently, do the tests as frequently as advised by their doctor, and there are now tests available to check for early onset of kidney changes. They have to check for the protein in their urine. There is a test for urine microalbuminuria that will tell us whether they are developing any early kidney damage. They have to get their eyes checked. Similarly, they have to check their blood vessels. So if they control the sugar in a way that is directed by their healthcare provider, and if they keep a watch on the development of complications, I think by far all these complications can be prevented and the diabetic can lead a normal life like others.
yes, sir. Follow up is very important once
Very
you are
important.
diagnosed
Yes,
with
yes, yes.
diabetes. And do you think diet plays a role in diabetes?
Definitely, definitely. See, from what I have understood is that the treatment of diabetes is like a triangle. The triangle is not complete without diet. So the treatment of diabetes, I always tell my patients that there are three things. There are three cornerstones of diabetes treatment. One is, of course, the medications. One is diet. The other thing is appropriate physical activity as directed by your healthcare provider.
Yes.
So if one decides that he is going to take n number of medicines and not diet and exercise, then that would really be disastrous. So diet is a very very important thing in the prevention and maintenance of diabetes. In fact, see, if somebody walks into my consulting room with diabetes, we nowadays we have got a bouquet full of medicines, different kinds of medicines that suit the requirements of different diabetics. We have got different kinds of insulin, but empowerment doesn't lie in going on increasing your medicines. Empowerment is when you are in control of your health, when you have the willpower to change your diet, when you have the willpower to exercise, and as days go you should be able to come down on the the medications you take, and you should feel empowered to control your diabetes. You should not feel that you are dependent on these medications. And with a good willpower, with good diet, and with the help of your healthcare provider, definitely these goals can be achieved.
Yes, sir. Sir, what is, see, sometimes people who are on medications, their blood sugar goes down, that is, hypoglycemia happens. So, what is it?
Yes,
And
yes.
yeah, how do we?
Okay, diabetic should remember two things.
Hmm.
One is they have to control their blood sugars, but very high blood sugars also are not good. Very low blood sugars are also not good. So, as the term itself, very in a simplified way tells us, hypoglycemia means low blood sugar levels. So, when somebody has got hypoglycemia, they will it's nothing but blood sugar levels being lower than a particular level. So when the blood sugar goes down below a certain level, patient may develop certain symptoms. And for all diabetics who are on medications and insulin, it is very important that they and their family members are educated about these symptoms of hypoglycemia. When somebody has hypoglycemia, they can be change in their behavior. There can be excessive sweating. There can be excessive hunger. There can be slurring of speech. There can be unconsciousness, and so many other symptoms. And it is very important that most diabetics, it is recommended that they wear a bracelet, which says that they are diabetic, and if they are found unconscious or something, hypoglycemia should be watched for. So it helps in it, or at least they should carry an identity card with them saying that I am a diabetic and I'm on these medications. And if I am found unconscious, these are the healthcare providers and my family members who are to be contacted. It's very important that when a diabetic plans to travel, or when a diabetic is planning to change his routine environment, he carries some kind of food or some kind of glucose or some kind of sugar, which in case of hypoglycemia can help him to overcome that with a small dose of those glucose providers.
Okay. Sir, do you have any tips for diabetics who are traveling? Any other tips which you can give?
Yeah, as I said, one of the thing is people who travel should make sure that they are having some kind of food or glucose or sugary substance which can be of rescue in terms of whenever they develop hypoglycemic symptoms. People who are traveling should make sure that for whatever duration they are traveling, they have a appropriate prescription for their medications, and the quantity of medications that is required for their trip, they carry it along with them. People who are on insulin again should be careful to take the appropriate quantities of insulin syringes along with them, so that they don't miss out on any doses. It's very important that they carry an ID card or a bracelet that they are diabetics. And if they are traveling to a country where certain diseases are endemic, it's better to contact their healthcare provider. Wherever vaccinations are required, they will have to take vaccinations so that they don't get infected. And wherever certain chemoprophylaxis, some medications can be taken to prevent the onset of certain infectious diseases, they have to take. People, when they travel, they should also make sure that they wear appropriate footwear, because as a person progresses with this diabetes, they lose their sensations with their feet. Especially we have seen that when people go to places of religious importance, sometimes they remove their footwear and go, and they may develop blisters. So whenever they go, they should examine their feet themselves, or assign this duty to one family member. In fact, what I tell most of my patients is, diabetic patients, is more than how many times they look at their face in the mirror, it's better to look at their feet, because if the small initial symptoms of a problem in the feet are missed, then it can lead to catastrophic consequences.
Yeah. And sir, there are a few people who fast, especially
Yes.
during their, according to their religion or customs, what they follow. So, do you have any tips to give to them, like when they are fasting as a diabetic,
Yeah.
or should they fast?
Yeah. See, diabetics should remember two things. Uh, Fasting also is not good. Feasting also is not good. They should do everything in moderation. Neither fast nor feast. However, see, one has got the right to follow his religious beliefs and address his spiritual needs, because addressing to one's spiritual needs also is one of the important aspects of life. So if you prevent somebody from following a spiritual belief suddenly, it may lead to other mental health consequences in them. So in case somebody decides to fast, then again, a visit to their regular healthcare provider is very important. There are some changes in diet they will have to make. Again, in diabetic medications, there are drugs which act for a shorter duration of time. There are drugs which act for a longer duration of time. The same is with different types of insulin. There are short-acting insulins, there are intermediate-acting insulins, there are long-acting insulins. So they'll have to make a change, and based on those recommendations made by the healthcare provider, then they can decide whether to fast or not. And if their healthcare provider who has been following up their health gives them the permission to fast, then those changes in their medications and diet are very important. And under close medical supervision, probably they could be allowed to do it, but it is all individualized and case based. We cannot generalize the phenomenon to everybody.
Yes, sir. Each body is different. Yes.
Yes,
Thank you, sir, for joining us and sharing your immense knowledge about diabetes. And in the next video, we can discuss on the treatment and nutrition part.
definitely,
Uh,
definitely, definitely.
yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.